Okay, WoW enjoyers, this one is for you. So before I begin, this is going to be a rant. I might throw some curses out. I might even tell truths that people just don't want to hear. But some of these things just need to be said. Who am I? I'm nobody. I don't get title every season. I'm not in the top push teams. You won't see me in an MDI or TGP team. I don't even get cutting edge. I just play WoW. Yeah, occasionally I raid and I get AOTC every season. Sometimes I do Mog runs and do some mount farming and, yeah, we don't do that. No pet battles. One might even consider me a civilian. I just enjoy the game. And I especially enjoy Mythic Plus. I do over 1,000 of them per season. Since BFA. I'm nothing special at 3k IO. Let's not kid ourselves. Some of these keys I do with friends, but most of them I do with pugs. And I'm here to tell you today that the WoW community has a problem, and here's why. I know, the game is not the same as it used to be. Mechanics and dungeons have had increasingly difficult interactions. And to be honest, that's a good thing. But why is this a problem? Because there are far more dispels and more stops and more kicks in a single pack of trash mobs than we've ever dealt with before. Can groups deal with these mechanics? Absolutely. Yes, they can. In fact, one might say it's really not that hard. However, the general populace and keys around that 20 range have proven it's not their problem. How can a mage have no kicks with a 20-second CD in a 22? How can a druid spec into 30-second CD in cap roar not know they can interrupt an entire pack of mobs with it? How can it be afflicted week and a shaman not know that they can take two different dispel talents to deal with it, yet not take either? I wish I knew. But this brings me to the second reason. Let's be clear, this isn't a new thing. Very soon, we'll be dealing with one of my favorite BFA dungeons. Caused me a lot of both joy and stress. But in Atal Dazar, the first boss usually killed is Razan, the dinosaur. He's down on the floor in a pit. And he does an AoE fear that can be line of sighted with a little bit of tank positioning and you hiding behind the little pillars on the edge of the arena. And then usually the second boss you go to is Volkal. He's the guy with the totems. Those 3 totems need to die at the same time, or the fight takes forever. And then usually you go across, and the third boss is Priestess Delunza. There's those red puddles on the ground. You can't take more than one of those puddles, first of all, but you do need to take one, because when she casts Transfusion, she will heal if you haven't stepped into one of those red puddles. And then the fight, again, takes forever. How many of these relatively simple mechanics will be failed over the entirety of Season 3? Probably a lot. People failed these mechanics after over 2 years of doing it straight in BFA. In fact, I remember the last weeks of BFA having people fail the totems not being killed at the same time. What makes anybody think that that's going to change now? And you might be writing an angry comment right now that says something like, listen, man, I didn't play in BFA. Or, I still need to learn these new dungeons. Or, they do this every season now with new dungeons in the rotation. Well, that's here to stay. That's not going away. But I do have great news for you. This dungeon has been out since fucking August of 2018. There are videos out there that you can watch. There are guides you can go over every single mechanic in detail. We have an entire season of not new dungeons coming up. Go do some fucking homework. We still have people in the very last days of Season 2 failing to jump on the last boss of Vortex Pinnacle. We still have people that don't clear the mushrooms on the third boss in Underrot. Sometimes these things are entertaining to watch. I'm not going to lie. But come the fuck on already. Tying these together a bit, players just need to know their kit, even more than before. Difficulty isn't a bad thing, again. But the need for these things like health potions, defensives, avoiding avoidable damage is more important than ever before. You cannot expect to live in many situations, going back to even Season 1 of Dragonflight, without being responsible for your own life. You can't rely on healers anymore. Knowing you can avoid damage by using a snare break, for example, on the dragons after the frog boss in halls, is one that still doesn't happen in keys. And you might say, well, just bring a master spell. Settle down, meta chaser, nerfed priests. But therein lies the problem. Most people still don't use health pots, or defensives, or avoid the fire on the ground, do they? Is the player base just shit now? No, not completely. But you can't get away with it as easily anymore. Poor play is just met with death. Oh boy. How do I even talk about this one? Well, to begin with, we have all done it. I've done it. You've done it. You're going to leave a key at some point. And within reason, that's okay. If the key isn't completable, or something in real life happens, or who knows, maybe you got to take a dump mid-key, and people don't want to wait for you. It's okay to leave once in a while for reasonable shit. Shit literally happens. But if you leave because the tank isn't pulling enough for your cooldowns, cough, fire mage, or you die and get embarrassed and press Alt F4, or it isn't going to get timed, so you just bail because it doesn't get you score. I know, magical internet points. Or you're just one of those extreme toxic fuckers that plays this just to shit on people and deplete their keys. Allow me to show you the door. This game isn't for you. There is no actual solution for this. Blizzard can't save us with solo queues or magic penalties for leaving dungeons because organized key groups just leave keys all the time. People communicate in Pug sometimes, and they agree to call it. What are you going to do to them? We can't have some sort of system that penalizes only the bad leavers and not ones that actually make sense. It just won't work out. The only thing we can do is just be better people. And if you have somebody just up and leave your key, ask them why. Send them a message. Everybody in your group send them a message and say, hey man, come back and finish this key. Yeah, you'll probably get blocked because that's what people do and people are shitty. But it's worth it to harass these people a bit. Don't let them get away with it. All right, let's take a moment and discuss affixes. So if you've been hiding under a rock, or you happen to be that shaman from number 1, Season 2 came with some new affixes that aren't changing going into Season 3. Afflicted has up to 2 friendly NPCs that spawn that have to be dispelled, and that's not a magic dispel, it's a poison dispel, a disease dispel, or curse dispel. Or they can be healed, but it's not a healer affix, right? Incorporeal is up to 2 enemy NPC targets that cannot be attacked. They just need to be crowd controlled to stop their cast, that's it. They can also be short duration stunned, and then interrupted with some time gap in between, but let's not get into that. I already know this game is too hard for you. If you have a talent, or talents sometimes, available to you to deal with these affixes each week, you need to take them in pugs. End of discussion. I will not compromise. If I inspect you and I see you don't have your CC or dispel for these weeks, I most likely will just leave your group before the key even starts. So that way you can fail with another person. Because I feel that if I have to tell you to take your talents for the dungeon or the affix, What says you will even use them? This takes us to the next point of the topic. Pressing your buttons. How many paladins have you encountered that don't know or don't use their freedom on the barrel in Freehold? How many times have you seen somebody with a kick available on Withering Curse, the channel cast, that's just ticking and ticking, 1 stack, 2 stacks, 3 stacks, slowly ticking up on the trash that's right before Sporecaller and Underrot, and they're just not using their kick? Oh, I got another one too. I have an honorable mention to all my healers out there that don't do any damage in keys. I have awesome news for you. WoW Classic and Wrath versions, which is soon to be turned into the Cataclysm version, and a new Classic Plus variant, are all either available for you to play now or soon to be available. Retail is not for you. Seriously, it's not. So if you made it this far in the video, I really appreciate you listening to me rant. I really do. But this video isn't directed at you. In fact, the people that need to hear these things are barely able to navigate to Wowhead in a browser window to copy-paste their damn spec for the entire patch and then never change it. Because who changes their spec anyhow when you go into a different dungeon or a different affix week? We have a problem, friends. And it's the community. It's not Blizzard. Don't blame Blizzard for this one. It's not dungeon design. And it's not balance. Okay, maybe it's a little bit balanced. It's the people playing who can't be bothered to ask themselves one simple question. What could I have done better? How will I improve or learn mechanics or find the utility in my spec if I don't care to even wonder what I could have done better? So be better, WoW players. Please be better. Well, at least until 11.0, when that solo content stuff comes out.